Imagine your brain, wallet, and body is a system. Today, we are going to fix one. Imagine sitting down to do something important. Then you open your laptop. The document is ready. You know exactly what you need to do. Then your phone vibrates. You check it just for a second, it's a message. Then another notification. You reply. While replying, you remember something you wanted to search online. You open your browser, you search for that thing. Then you see another interesting video, you watch it. Then another 20 minutes later, you suddenly remember the document. You return to your laptop. You read the first sentence, then your mind wanders. You check the time, you feel frustrated. So you decide to take a short break. You pick up your phone again, and somehow an hour disappears. Now you are sitting there wondering, why can't I focus anymore? The strange thing is that you may genuinely want to focus. You may have important goals, you may even understand exactly what needs to be done. But your attention keeps getting pulled in 10 different directions. And the problem may not be that you suddenly became lazy. You may be living in an environment designed to interrupt you. Today, we are going to understand what is happening to your attention, why your brain keeps searching for stimulation, and how to rebuild your ability to focus. Because in a world where almost everything is competing for your attention, the ability to concentrate is becoming a serious advantage. In the previous episode, we explored why the brain often chooses the easy path. We looked at comfort, immediate rewards, distractions, and how your environment influences your behavior. Today, we are going deeper, because there is a difference between choosing the easy path occasionally and struggling to stay focused on anything for more than a few minutes. You may sit down to read and suddenly feel the urge to check your phone. You may start working and immediately want to check your messages. You may watch a movie and find yourself opening another app halfway through. You may even be talking to someone while secretly thinking about the notification you just received. Your body is in one place, your attention is somewhere else. And this creates a strange modern problem. We have access to more information than any generation in history. But many people are finding it increasingly difficult to stay with one thing long enough to actually use that information. Your attention has become valuable, and companies know it. Every notification, autoplay video, recommendation, vibration, and endless scroll is designed to give you another reason to stay engaged. This does not mean every piece of technology is evil. Your phone can help you learn, communicate, work, and solve problems. The problem begins when you stop deciding where your attention goes, and everything else starts deciding for you. Meet David. David has an important project to complete. He has been postponing it for several days. Today, he decides to finally focus. He clears his desk, makes a cup of coffee, opens his laptop, puts his phone face down. This time, he is serious. He reads the first sentence. Then he notices the phone. It has not even made a sound. But suddenly, David wonders, did I receive any messages? He looks at the phone. Nothing important. He puts it back down. Then he thinks, maybe I should check my email first. He opens his email. There is a message that does not require an immediate response, but now he is already there. So he responds. While writing the response, he remembers that he needs to search for something. He opens the browser. The search leads to an article. The article leads to a video. The video leads to another video. Eventually, David is watching a documentary about something completely unrelated to his project. And then he suddenly remembers, I was supposed to be working. David closes everything. He takes a deep breath. He returns to the project. 5 minutes later, he feels bored, so he checks his phone again. At this point, David has spent nearly an hour working on everything, except the thing he originally sat down to do. This is not because David does not care about the project. His attention has simply been trained to expect constant stimulation. And when the work becomes quiet, slow, or difficult, his brain starts looking for something more interesting. Your brain is constantly scanning the environment for something important, something new, something rewarding, something potentially useful. For most of human history, noticing something new could be valuable. A strange sound might indicate danger. A new movement might reveal food. A change in the environment might mean an opportunity or a threat. Paying attention to something new was useful. The problem is that your modern environment produces new information constantly. Your phone can deliver a new message, a new video, a new headline, a new image, a new comment, a new recommendation. You can refresh your screen and receive something different within seconds. Your brain does not need to wait for something interesting to happen. It can simply ask for more. And when the brain becomes used to frequent stimulation, ordinary activities can begin to feel unusually slow. Reading a book requires sustained attention. A conversation requires patience. Studying requires effort. Working on a difficult project may produce no reward for 30 minutes. But your phone can give you something new in seconds. So the brain begins comparing the two experiences. The difficult task says, "Stay here. Work through this." The phone says, "Here is something new." Your brain is not necessarily choosing the more important option. It is choosing the option that offers the fastest change in stimulation, and this is where your attention begins to weaken. Many people believe they are good at multitasking. They say, "I can work while checking messages. I can watch television while scrolling. I can listen to a podcast while answering emails." But most of the time, the brain is not doing several demanding tasks simultaneously. It is switching between them. And every time you switch, your attention has to move. You read a sentence, you check a message, you return to the sentence, you search for something, you come back to the project, you check another notification. Each switch may seem small, but together they create a large amount of mental friction. Imagine trying to walk through a doorway every 10 seconds. You would eventually get somewhere, but you would not move efficiently. That is what constant switching does to your attention. David discovers this when he tries to work with his phone beside him. He tells himself, "I will only check it if something important happens." The problem is that he keeps wondering whether something important has happened. So even when he is not looking at the phone, part of his attention is waiting for it. The phone is silent, but mentally, it is still in the room. This is why simply putting your phone face down may not always be enough. Sometimes, the best way to protect your attention is to create physical distance. If the phone is in another room, David does not need to spend mental energy deciding whether to check it. The decision has already been removed. There is another reason people struggle to focus. They have become uncomfortable with boredom. Consider what happens when you are waiting in line. Years ago, you might have looked around, watched people, thought about your day, allowed your mind to wander. But today, many people immediately reach for their phones. Every empty moment is immediately filled. This may seem harmless, but those empty moments used to give your brain a chance to rest and wander. More importantly, they helped you practice being without constant stimulation. When you constantly remove boredom, ordinary activities can begin to feel boring much faster. Reading a difficult book feels boring. Working on a complicated project feels boring. Listening to a long explanation feels boring. Learning a new skill feels boring. But the problem may not be that the activity is objectively boring. Your brain may simply be comparing it to a much higher level of stimulation. A quiet book cannot compete with hundreds of rapidly changing videos. A slow workout cannot compete with constant notifications. A difficult skill cannot compete with instant entertainment. This is why rebuilding focus often requires rebuilding your relationship with boredom. You need to become comfortable with moments that are not constantly entertaining, because many valuable things in life are slow. Learning is slow, fitness is slow, building a career is slow, relationships require patience, deep thinking is slow, and if your brain demands constant stimulation, slow progress becomes difficult to tolerate. Now, let us look at something that happens when you switch tasks. Imagine David is writing an important report. He receives a message from a friend. He checks it. The message is funny. David laughs. Then he returns to the report. His eyes are looking at the report, but part of his mind is still thinking about the message. This is sometimes described as attention residue. When you move from one task to another, part of your attention can remain connected to the previous task. This is one reason constant switching can make deep work difficult. You may be physically working on one thing while mentally carrying several unfinished thoughts. The email you need to answer, the message you received, the video you watched, the task you forgot, the appointment tomorrow, the thing you need to buy. Your brain becomes crowded. And then you wonder why focusing on one paragraph feels difficult. David tries something different. He creates a period of uninterrupted work. His phone is outside the room, his email is closed, his browser has only the tools he needs. At first, the silence feels uncomfortable. His brain keeps expecting something to happen. But after several minutes, something changes. He begins to settle into the work. The task becomes easier to follow. He notices details he previously missed. He starts making progress. The work did not suddenly become more interesting. His attention simply stopped being divided. Your attention is not shaped only by your intentions, it is shaped by your environment. If you keep your phone beside you all day, you are repeatedly practicing checking it. If you keep multiple tabs open, you are repeatedly practicing switching. If you work in a noisy environment filled with interruptions, you are practicing responding to interruptions. Your brain learns from repetition. Every time you respond to a notification, you strengthen the habit of checking. Every time you escape boredom with your phone, you make the phone more attractive the next time boredom appears. Every time you interrupt a difficult task with entertainment, you teach your brain that discomfort should be escaped. This does not mean you need to throw your phone into a river and move to a forest, although, for some people, the river option is becoming emotionally attractive. The goal is to create an environment where your attention is not constantly attacked. Start with simple changes. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Keep distracting apps away from your home screen. Place your phone outside your immediate workspace. Use one screen for one important task. Close unnecessary browser tabs. And create specific periods where you are allowed to be unreachable. You do not need to respond to everything immediately. Most things are not emergencies. Your attention deserves boundaries. David decides to rebuild his attention gradually. He starts with a simple rule. For the next 20 minutes, he will focus on one task, not 3 tasks, not 5 tasks, just one. He sets his phone in another room, he opens only the document he needs, then he begins. The first few minutes are uncomfortable. He wants to check something. He thinks about his phone. He feels the urge to switch tasks, but instead of immediately obeying the urge, he waits. The urge rises, then it begins to fade. This is important. An urge is not an instruction. You can notice the desire to check your phone without checking your phone. You can notice boredom without immediately escaping it. You can notice discomfort without running away from the task. David repeats this every day. 20 minutes becomes 30. 30 becomes 45. He does not become perfectly focused, but he becomes better at returning his attention when it wanders. That is the real skill. Focus does not mean your mind never wanders. Your mind will wander. Focus means noticing that it wandered and bringing it back again and again and again. That is the training. One of the simplest ways to rebuild attention is to stop asking your brain to constantly switch. Choose one important task. Give it your full attention for a specific period. If you are reading, read. If you are exercising, exercise. If you are eating, eat. If you are talking to someone, listen. If you are working, work. This sounds obvious, but many people have become used to dividing their attention so often that being fully present feels unusual. David begins practicing this during ordinary activities. When he eats, he stops watching videos. When he walks, he sometimes leaves his phone in his pocket. When he talks to someone, he stops checking notifications. When he works on one task at a time. At first, these changes feel surprisingly difficult. Then they begin to feel peaceful. He realizes something. He was not always tired because he was doing too much. Sometimes he was tired because his attention was constantly being pulled in different directions. There is a difference between working hard and constantly switching. One can produce progress, the other can produce mental exhaustion without much to show for it. David creates a simple attention reset system. Step 1. Identify your biggest source of distraction. For many people, this is the phone. For others, it may be social media, email, television, or constantly changing tasks. Step 2. Create distance. Do not rely entirely on willpower. Make the distraction physically harder to access. Step 3. Start with a realistic focus period. You do not need to focus for 8 hours. Start with 15 or 20 minutes. Step 4. Remove unnecessary switching. One task, one screen, one direction. Step 5. Practice boredom. Take a walk without constantly consuming content. Wait without immediately checking your phone. Allow your mind to be quiet sometimes. Step 6. Protect your attention every day. Your focus is not rebuilt in one weekend. It is rebuilt through repeated practice. Just like physical fitness, attention becomes stronger when you train it consistently, and it becomes weaker when you constantly give every distraction immediate access to your mind. David still gets distracted. Of course he does. He is not a robot. He still checks his phone. He still loses focus. He still occasionally opens an app for 1 minute and somehow returns 40 minutes later with information he never requested. But now he notices the pattern faster. He understands that his attention is not unlimited. He understands that every distraction has a cost. He understands that the ability to focus is not something you either have or do not have. It is a skill, and skills can be trained. The world will continue competing for your attention. There will always be another notification, another video, another message, another headline, another recommendation, another reason to look away from what you are doing. You cannot control everything that appears in front of you, but you can become more intentional about what you respond to. So the next time you sit down to work and suddenly feel the urge to check your phone, pause. Ask yourself, is this important, or is it simply new? Because new does not always mean valuable. The next time you feel bored while reading, studying, exercising, or working on something important, do not immediately assume the activity is pointless. Your brain may simply be adjusting to a lower level of stimulation. Stay a little longer. The next time you find yourself switching between 10 different tasks, stop and choose one. Your attention is not a small thing. It is the place where your life happens. What you repeatedly give your attention to eventually shapes what you learn, what you think, what you become, and where your time goes. Your phone may be smart, the algorithm may be powerful, the internet may be endless, but your attention is still yours to direct. You do not need to eliminate technology. You do not need to live like a monk. You simply need to stop giving every notification the right to interrupt your life. Start with one focused period today. Put the phone away. Choose one task. Stay with it for 20 minutes. When your mind wanders, bring it back, then do it again tomorrow. Because focus is not built by one perfect day. It is built every time you choose to return your attention to what actually matters. Better decisions start here. Next episode, why you feel tired all the time, even when you're not doing much. Please like, share, and press the subscribe button. Thank you.